if we all start with that basic premise that we want to be respectful towards each other, we will become, I would say, more accepting, more patient, more open to ideas coming from another person, and look what that will give back to a workplace, a home, a community, society, our planet. Isn't that what we need today?
Hi and welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. This is your host Anushka at peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for SCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives more than 400,000 visitors a year, and we also publish several interviews with well-known names globally every month. We have with us today Shilpa Ajwani. Shilpa is the founder and CEO of Mantra, a business consultant, leadership growth catalyst, startup advisor, and a proponent of purpose. She's a seasoned professional with a solid reputation for providing transformative leadership for over 25 years to global consumer and lifestyle brands. She's a big picture professional who has led organizations with vision, passion, and inspiration, and was also found in the trenches with the troops when the going got tough. She has strategically built businesses from startup to scale and led complex business transformations as well. She is a possibility thinker who derives her resilience, integrity, creativity, and empathy from the values, life skills, and work ethic that she has cultivated over the years. Her experience has been enriched with deep consumer and business insights collected firsthand through her assignments across diverse geographies. She works with leaders, teams, and businesses in the consumer and business domain, in the lifestyle domain, as well as their business consultant and a leadership advisor. So with that, welcome to peopleHum, Shilpa. We're so thrilled to be talking to you today.
Thank you, and I'm really looking forward to my conversation with peopleHum and you today.
Thank you. The pleasure is absolutely ours. So, Shilpa, diving right deep into the interview, the first question I had for you was, you've been the founder and CEO of Mantra for 2 years. Do tell us about how the company came to being, the great work that you do there, and the company's ideologies.
Sure. What a great question to start with. The baby just turned 2, and I'm really proud of that. 1 year of which was really a pandemic year, and life couldn't have been more challenging and yet more interesting and fun. So, how did Uno Mantra really come about? So, after a career of almost 25 years, like you so graciously, just told the audience, building brands, teams, organizations, I really felt on one of my birthdays that life's been good for me. I've been privileged, blessed to have worked with amazing people, leaders, organizations. I've got a lot from my own work experience and from the brands that I have really built. But could I look at converting all this success into significance? So call Uno Mantra my journey from success to significance, where I wanted to give back in a way to creating the next generation of entrepreneurs, leaders, as well as iconic brands and organizations by sharing openly with them whatever I learned in my quarter of a centuries of experience, right? So that was the starting point of Uno Mantra. Uno Mantra really means, it comes from, the combination of 2 words. Uno, we know, is number 1. And mantra to me really was synonymous with strategy or a long-term plan to put something into action which will give great results. And done repeatedly, it allows you to scale and become bigger and increase your impact, whether as a leader or as an organization. So that's how Uno Mantra became one word. And to me, it also symbolized the work which I did, how I serve my clients. I see their best version in them. And that's something which drives me every single day. How can I really support them to become their Uno selves, their best version? The values of the company also really came out of that. of service, of inspiration, of purposeful, sustainable growth, right? So if you look at the logo of Uno Mantra, it has an infinity sign with two black dots. And what does that really mean? Infinity really stands for infinite growth possibilities. And I really feel that, the two guardrails of purpose, that's one black dot on the side, and the other one is your values. So when you have the guardrails firmly in place, and the possibilities just become infinite. When you found your purpose, you do strategy inside out from that core purpose of yours. That's where you are unique. You know your why. And you are out there telling the world, this is why I exist, and this is who I serve, and this is how I do it. And you just keep getting better and better and better at doing that repeatedly, right? Because you've got values and you've got that sense of purpose guiding you. So everything was very mindfully put together, so that the clients that I work with understand that purpose actually powers performance, and that's the caption we use all the time. That's our tagline. Purpose powers performance, right? And it also powers profit, as we are seeing with so many organizations. Now that you've got millennials, you've got Gen Zs paying with their wallets, they are going out and choosing brands that are purposeful, that are sustainable, that can do good by doing good. So that's what Uno Mantra and I are committed to building for the future.
Wow, that was wonderful, especially how you spoke about how you transitioned from having a successful career to now imparting, like, focusing on more significant things and like getting the best version of people. That's absolutely great. Congratulations on the success of Uno Mantra, Shilpa. That's wonderful. And it's lovely to actually hear the way you just elucidated that response, having your purpose and values set in stone and weaving a kind of business strategy around those lines.
Exactly. Yes.
Great, great. Love that response, Shilpa. So thank you so much for that one. Going on to the next question that I had for you, you've been previously addressed as a big picture professional because you've led organizations with vision, passion, and inspiration. Would you like to comment a little on that for our audience?
Sure. So I think somewhere in the introduction, you also said that I could be found in the trenches when it was needed, close to my troops. And that's the way we all start our careers, right? Where we are newbies, and we have stars in our eyes. The world's our playground. And that's how I started my career too. Um, and as a very junior product manager, right in the beginning, getting to know the nuances of how businesses work, how an organization looks like from the inside. And there's so many moving parts which change every day, which have to come together for an eventual objective to be met. I think, getting that really understanding early on, and lots of opportunities, and being hungry to actually take those opportunities and grow with them, is how I learned how to make my own career. And after a while, I think it became second nature. People saw a challenge and they say, okay, throw Shilpa at it, and something good will come out of it. So really looking at disruption, looking at change, looking at setbacks, with different eyes, as growth opportunities rather than as irritants. I think that's something that I imbibed over the journey. Also, I see myself as a student and a lifelong learner. So when you approach anything with that attitude, especially your own business, you tend to learn from everybody. You tend to learn from your own failures and successes. You learn from others in how they approach a similar situation. um, you today read and can have access to so much of information, but when I started my career, even the internet was a new thing. Having your own personal computer on your desk was a big deal, right? Mobile phones came in a little bit after, in terms of easy access to everybody. So those times also taught us the importance of staying in touch, communicating in time, not just keeping an idea to yourself, but really sharing it openly and abundantly to be able to multiply the impact of that idea and improve it 100 times over. That showed me the power of collaboration. That showed me the power of reaching out, saying, I don't know this, teach me this, right? And equally so, the power of holding somebody's hand when they reach out to you. And that sort of started becoming my style of leading. People found that inspirational. I just found it intuitive. How can you grow just by yourself? Who are you as a leader without your team, right? And I think I felt very blessed when amazing people started joining in whichever team I had the privilege of leading, and they taught me so much as well. So I learned actually strategy top down and down up too. I learned also from our consumers. As you see, I have built consumer and lifestyle brands all my life. And when you are that close to the consumer, you want to understand that what really is their motivation. Why do they buy this? Why do they buy this now? Why don't they buy this the second time? Right? So just starting to ask yourself those questions tells you and humbles you that it's actually the consumer who really is the queen and the king, and the brand is built in their service. And you play only one tiny role, but that role could have a big impact, right? So everybody is a spoke in that wheel, but no spokes, no wheel. um, yeah, and that's where I think just starting to widen my own horizons, learning from people within my industry, gradually learning from also people outside my industry, reading both kind of books, the Good to Great written by Jim Collins and How the Mighty Fall as well by Jim Collins, to prepare yourself for both, right? I think learning was endless, and so was, doing business in a strategic way. And that's what made me a big picture professional, where I looked at, how big can this become? Let's start with purpose, which I talk about so much now, and then comes really the vision that that purpose will help you arrive at, and then strategy, of course, is a fallout of that in that sequence. So to me, strategy without knowing who you are and why you exist never made sense. And in that sense, I think that big picture always was my North Star, my guiding force. And it allowed me to take decisions with a sense of calm, with a sense of respect for everybody who would be impacted by that decision. And it also showed me that one decision can have a multiplier effect, not just on an organization, but on the lives of people. And the more senior you become, each decision then has its own weight, and it impacts just so many more people. So being strategic, I think for me has never been a vague concept. The 30,000 feet view has always been fun and interesting, but equally important has been to be tactical and to go deep down and look at implementation and execution, because that's where most strategy tends to fail. And I have, really looked at how does one balance between the two and build a sensible business.
Wow, those were some wonderful points that you just raised, Shilpa. I love the analogy that you provided about the spokes in the wheel. It was so easy to relate for our audience. And I completely agree with you on the fact that we all are lifetime learners. There's no start and end point to the process of learning. It's a journey that we're all constantly in. And just the drive to be curious will help us be on this journey for a long time. And it's especially during a crisis time, as you said, we need to have a shift of perspectives and kind of turn every adversity into an opportunity, right?
True.
Right. So thank you so much for that wonderful response. It was very valuable indeed.
Thank you. My pleasure. I think it's just life experience, and the more experience you have, the more humble you become about what you don't know as well. So I think learning from your environment, learning from others is always a good idea.
Absolutely. Can't agree more with you. Going on to the third question, Shilpa, you're a leadership growth catalyst, and very often new leaders find it difficult to focus on growth in the midst of focusing on their new responsibilities. So, in that light, what would your advice be for them?
I would say, firstly, we all work really hard, and we want that promotion. We want the next title. We like the idea of the power that it gives us, right? And even if power is not what is attractive for us, there might be other things which are more attractive. For example, the bigger impact that you can make at a more senior position within an organization. Now, what happens is that very few people actually take the time to prepare themselves, and they leave a lot in the hands of the organization to nurture them, to mentor them, to prepare them also for when they will take on that role. For me, I think I have always looked at it as a very skewed 80-20, where your life and your career are your responsibility first. If an organization works on the balance 20 to really equip you, to train you, to put you through that program, which will prepare you to be a better leader and to lead with more confidence and acumen, you're lucky, fantastic. But would you really stay dependent on that, or would you wait for that to happen? And just what might happen if that doesn't happen, right? So I say, be prepared to create a bigger career and a bigger impact, irrespective of what others are thinking of you. To me, what's important is, how are you thinking about your career? Um, how have you sort of thought about that next title even before it has come to you? Right? How intentional have you been about your own personal and professional development? So that's where I think a lot of my work with leaders is about opening their mind to the fact that take ownership and take responsibility as the first step. Take ownership and responsibility of what? Of preparing yourself for your next role. Look at the person who today is in that role. What do you like or not like about how they are leading in that role today? What would you think should be, happening if you were to take that position tomorrow? Where are you today in terms of skill sets, heart set, right? In terms of being prepared for that particular role. And don't start to prepare when you get it. The preparation actually starts before. So interview people, ask them about your strengths, weaknesses, get a realistic idea of how others are viewing you, your peers, people who in your team. Again, don't wait for an organization to do a formal 360-degree survey to tell you that, right? Because then it becomes more like a mandate. This is more informal. It'll give you real stuff that people feel that, okay, Shilpa, you're good at this. I feel that's wonderful about you, but this is something I feel that you need to work upon. So these are little clues that you will get if you bother to ask. Then think consciously about, the next role will require a different version of you. So don't lose your values. The core is the same, but a lot of newness will be required for you to shine in that role. So what are some new skills that you might require in that role which you don't possess today? How can you acquire those skills? Who can help you with that? Do you need to invest in courses? Do you need to reach out to mentors within the organization or outside who can help you and give you guidance as to how do you prepare for that next role, right? And I would say, last but not the least, really stay confident that you will get it, because then you will take preparation very, very seriously. So a lot of what I've told you is work that actually happens before you take on that role. So suddenly, when you get that role, it's not a crisis for you that, oh my God, after the initial euphoria has ended in the first 48 to 72 hours and reality hits in. That's the time when you are not scared, but you are still excited. That's the state I want to see leaders who get new opportunities be at. And I think for that, every new leader must have. I'm a big believer in the first 100 days plan. And it isn't for anybody else, but it's for you again, because the moment you step into a new role, not hundreds, thousands of things will attack you from all sides. People will want your attention, somebody will want decisions, suddenly new things will be asked of you which you have no clue about and nobody prepared you for. And you don't want to be looking like, oh my God, this person doesn't deserve to be here. So you don't want to be vulnerable and tell people that as well. Though I don't see any harm in doing that. I also tell leaders that it's okay to say that I'm new in this role, help me. And ask that openly, people will love it and they will support you more. Even people in your team, not just your peers or seniors, right? So that's been my style as well. I mean, I didn't come with all the answers. Even as a managing director, I think I turn towards my team, and that's where you need to build a team of experts over a period of time who will give you advice which you can trust. And that's your big job, to really create and develop and nurture that team, so that you get to be the best leader, and they get the best leader leading them too. It works both ways. So once you have that job, then be very good at doing that first 100 days with measurable, tangible objectives that are in line again with the mission, vision, and values of the organization. Have a great understanding of your deliverables. If those are not clear, please ask them. Again, don't wait for somebody to tell them. Be proactive. That's my favorite word when it comes to leadership. And really, there's no reason to get scared. Continue to keep that belief, that confidence, and that joy which you wanted to see on yourself when you got that position. So that's what I would say.
Wow, that was such an enlightening response. I love how you actually took us through how to prepare for the role and what to do when you have the role in your hands. And so you're saying it's all about self development from within, being proactive and taking accountability and seeking and asking for help when needed.
Correct. Absolutely.
Great, great. Lovely, Shilpa. That was such a great answer you provided us with. I think it was a very unique one that not a lot of influencers have spoken about before this. So, and especially like the 100 days plan, I thoroughly agree with you on that one as well.
I think again, all this comes from some of my successes and a lot of my failures. And you're always wiser in hindsight. But today, since I've taken on that job of preparing smarter leaders for tomorrow, this is something that I definitely work closer with them as a leadership advisor too.
Right, right. Thank you so much. So, going on to the next question, you've previously spoken about, you've been spoken really highly about the importance of work ethics in the workplace. So, in a post pandemic workplace where leaders are still finding it difficult to keep up pace with an already changing work environment, what would you suggest they enforce this work ethic?
So I read something very interesting the other day from Ariana Huffington, and she had, posted an article on LinkedIn which I happened to read, and it spoke about two concepts actually. So one is work ethic, and the other is rest ethic. Okay, and I found that to be able to give a definition to our rest or renewal time as well is very, very interesting, especially in the context of the fact that we were coming out of that pandemic. The hybrid model looks to be very much in place. The future of work has taken sort of leaps and sort of miles of a move ahead compared to when we sort of ended 2019 on. And we are all looking at grappling with what do we do now, whether as leaders or whether as team members who report into leaders. So I really feel that firstly, I love the fact, and I wanted to bring it up today in our conversation, the idea of work ethic and rest ethic. And if as leaders we respect that, we want our employees and our teams to show up as whole people, complete people, and bring their entire selves to their work, we need to respect the fact that there is a work life, and then there is a life. And then the integration of the two needs to really be respected by the leader and the organization both. I would say the rules also have changed significantly, because I really hope leaders have realized and learned their lessons that to get the best out of your teams, especially when there are still so many of them working in the virtual environment, they are not in the same physical space. Then, on top of that, when you work with bigger organizations that also are spread out geographically across the world, you add the bigger layer, and the more complex layer of cultural nuances, language barriers, and everything that comes with it, apart from the fact that people are still fearful. There is anxiety, there are mental health issues. People have not been able to adjust 100% to this new reality in the way we would have hoped for them to. And they need help on an everyday basis, right? So that's where I think I would first look at all of that, and then come back to your question on work ethic. So as a leader, we have to be realistic. We are responsible for deliverables. There are clear objectives the organization still has to meet, pandemic or no pandemic. In fact, the urgency to get back on track is even more now, right? Because everybody was looking forward to 2021. The targets have been stiffer from what I've seen. People are in a hurry to get their teams to deliver more and become more productive. So more is the big word. But here I would just say that continue to lead with empathy, continue to lead with trust. I think that's going to be a big one. It's not that easy when you can't see your teams. But if you begin your day imagining nobody's working, everybody's sleeping in late, and that report will be late, guess what? I mean, you've not done a great job of being a leader, because you're starting with mistrust and thinking your people are not up to the job, right? So I would say that, these are not just big fancy words, these are must haves. If you have to really ensure your teams come up with a work ethic. So empathy, trust, giving psychological safety to your teams, having very clear and regular communication, not over, not under, and that's also a very fine art and a science both, right? Which leaders just have to learn how to make happen. But the big word again, and I go back there, is purpose. If you have a clear sense of purpose of who you are as an organization, who do you serve, and where are you going, I think that in itself is a big thing to bring your teams together and get them to have a shared vision, right? So a shared sense of purpose gives a shared vision, and that really allows people to raise their hand and say that this is the role I want to play in making that happen. And when people become co-creators of that vision, and the delivery sort of agents of that vision too, I think you have a lot more ownership, skin in the game from your teams. And then the whole thing about carrot and stick and all those conversations, which I think are very, very old school, don't necessarily have to happen. You're talking to adults, you're talking to professionals. Start treating them like that, and they will show up to the workplace behaving like it is their workplace, right? And that's not a pipe dream. I think that's how this generation today will want to be led, right? And that's where the future of work is taking us to. And then we'll see multiple generations. So that's the other complexity in our organizations. Somebody who's like, two generations older, different sense of values, beliefs, also working in the same environment as you are. And this is your first job, and you're a rookie, but you want to change the world, and then that's who you are. So how do these two exist in a way that makes sense for them and the organization? I think these are some new interesting challenges, but I also see great opportunities coming out of this as well.
Absolutely. Those were some really noteworthy points that you raised, especially on generational gap in the workplace, or whether it's work life alignment, if I may call that, or ensuring like a healthy, diverse workforce, having a lot of inclusivity in your workforce, or ensuring psychological safety. I think
And
you
there, belongingness is an important word, right? So they
right.
say that, diversity is given because it's in the numbers, right? We just have to make it representative in our organizations. That's a no-brainer. But the aim now for really great workplaces will be to have that sense of belongingness, that I'm here, I belong here, I want to thrive here, and I want to give my best here. And that's where we should be headed, as per me.
Absolutely. I think even Pat Valor speaks on this in Diversity and Inclusion, where she says we need to make people feel belonged to the workplace so that they'll actually connect with what they do, and that'll eventually lead to more productivity and business outcomes. So, completely agree with you on that one. So, just to wrap this interview up, Shilpa, do you have a specific quote that would best describe your feelings on the future of work, workplace, and you?
I have just one quote, and I apply it for my life. It's something which guides me and how I show up and how I behave and how I would like people to behave with me. So it's not specific to just the workplace, but in general, for the kind of planet that we all want to sort of create together and leave behind for our future generations. My all-time favorite quote is "Live and let live." Right, and I just don't take that in the literal sense, but for me I think what it means is that the kind of respect that you would want for yourself, um, your individuality, who you are as a person, your unique strengths, talents, skills that you bring, whether it's to the workplace, whether it's to your community, whether it's to society, your country. um, I would want you to give the same respect. So and then it works up, down, down, up, sideways, whichever way you look at it. You can't fail if live and let live is your motto. And if we all start with that basic premise that we want to be respectful towards each other, we will become, I would say, more accepting, more patient, more open to ideas coming from another person, and look what that will give back to a workplace, a home, a community, society, our planet. Isn't that what we need today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Completely agree with you on that one. And that was such a great note to end it on, Shilpa. I mean, there was so much positivity from your end. So it's basically you're saying we need to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and be empathetic and accordingly navigate through turbulent waters.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And if not now, then when?
Right. Absolutely. Great, Shilpa. It was such a great time talking to you today. I gained so many wonderful and fresh perspectives and insights from you. Couldn't have asked for a better interview. I had a fun time interviewing you, and so thank you so much for just taking out the time to share your views with people. Hum, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. I think you're amazing as well. The way you grasp things so quickly, you can summarize. I'm in awe of you. Imagine what I would have been now had I been like you when I was younger, and like you are today. So it's been so fascinating to be in conversation with you today. I learned from you as well, and I wish you and people hum all the very best. Have a great 2021.
Thank you very much. Really means a lot, and we shall surely stay in touch. And you have a
Sure.
healthy time ahead of you.
Thank you, and
Have a
likewise.
great day ahead. Yes.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.